Hello, my name is Major Mike Webb. For those who don't know me, back in the 1990s, I was the most junior commissioned officer ever in history of the United States Army to serve in the position of Operations Officer for All Strategic Counterintelligence in the continental United States, or CONUS is the acronym. If you have been following the news regarding the intelligence activities related to a novel coronavirus, you will know that in April 2020, George Stephanopoulos and ABC News disclosed that electronic surveillance had uncovered and reported to the former President, Donald K. Trump, indicia of an emergent public health threat in Hubei province that might potentially present a threat to U.S. forces in the Sino-Pacific theater. It is not normal to state in the news that we are conducting electronic surveillance against any country, but this is what George Stephanopoulos and ABC News did and attempted to corner the former Secretary of Defense using this information. As a key staff officer serving as the aide-de-camp for the commander of the counterintelligence activity at the time, I played a critical role in the formation of the precursor to that agency, now known as the INMIC, or National Medical Intelligence Center, and consequently have a unique perspective on a public health threat that has tangibly altered any conception of the American way of life. And the conclusion of our extensive investigation and analysis, prompted in part by litigation, which we shall present in this pandemic hotwash, is that a pandemic crisis could have and should have been avoided on day one, particularly in our science community. And that misaligned incentives resulted in the presentation of a national and world crisis that has become our new normal. I took an oath many, many years ago to preserve and protect the Constitution of the United States and the American way of life. This briefing is based upon evidence readily available in the open source environment and is unclassified. First topic of discussion in this informational brief is the unclassified history of pandemic epidemiology and its connection to biological research, most notably in the field often described as dual-use applications. Even before the Beijing regime conceded to deposit accession documents to join the Biological Warfare Treaty in 1984, a part of its agreement to be recognized as the official government of China in preferred national status to the government of Taiwan, formerly the Republic of Formosa. As a result of the reopening of China during the Nixon administration, it was known, or at least highly suspected, according to the State Department in their report on weapons of mass destruction back in August 2019, that the People's Republic of China not only had possessed a biological warfare capability, but also were in violation of that agreement, and that they had failed to destroy these munitions. And at that time, it was noted in the report that that communist regime remained in violation of the treaty, having been engaged in what is referred to as dual-use applications. Accordingly, it can be said that a potentially hostile adversary with a capability to wage a biological war was known to all government officials even before the emergence of a novel coronavirus. And it is a public record that the Air University for the United States Air Force at the same time published a report to deny the threat potential that had existed at that time. Means, motive, and opportunity. For those unaware, and this can be verified even online in the article published by the Encyclopedia Britannica as well as in the Guinness Book of World Records, biological warfare constitutes the oldest weapons of mass destruction in the history of mankind, dating back to the use of ergot by the Assyrians and crediting the Mongols in the Ukraine for weaponizing the plague against the Venetian merchants that resulted in the Black Death and fatalities that claimed over one-third of the world population beginning in 1347. And like the Data Institute at the University of San Francisco stated in their report, advocating for the implementation of UNESCO precautionary principle, a doctrine rejected by American courts, specifically in the case of Sancho v. Department of Energy, to support the usage of non-medical grade facial coverings that had been definitively determined in 2010 by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, acronym NIOSH, using the same diagnostic equipment that is used to rate the N95 masks, provided little or no protection against microbial infection. It had stated that pandemics are historically associated with times of fear, confusion, and despair, which they had hoped to leverage and exploit to compel compliance. Biological warfare has similarly exploited these same factors for surreptitious deployment. Historically, while these factors are at most only of highly probative value, we have concluded that a pandemic crisis could have and should have been averted based upon strong dispositive evidence known to all, at least in the fields of epidemiology and virology, scientific subjects about which most would probably agree that the former president, Donald Trump, possessed little or no complete understanding and was wholly reliant upon the information that he had received from his top scientific advisors. All of this information is readily available in the open source environment, and if you have neglected in your duty during a pandemic crisis that has claimed the lives of over 500,000 Americans, that is between you and your God. And so here is the truth. My name is Major Mike Webb, and by God, I am running for governor of Virginia. I ask every Virginian and every American true to, like the motto of the infantry, follow me, and we shall overcome. Honest. And y'all come back now. Here. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb. And y'all come back now. Here.